They are not marginalized people. They are not losers. Doesn't mean there aren't some, but they're not. Usually they're overachievers. They come from very conventional middle-class homes. They have been captain of the swim team. They have done well at school. When they become young adults, they're very disappointed with the world. The world's not living up to their expectations. The world's full of all these apathetic and hypocritical people and not living up to the values and norms they were socialized to as children. And even their own parents, they discover, are hypocrites. They get angry about this.
I think everybody can be radicalized because, again, the significance quest is a universal drive. It's a universal motive, so it can impact everybody. So the idea of the significance quest, I mean, has been held by many psychologists as a fundamental drive. So this idea of being respected, to be someone that matters in society. Psychologists of different walks of life talk about it, different approaches. Talk about this idea of self-esteem, the importance of achievement, of mastery. And it seems there's a common thread that interweaves across this finding, is that people want to matter, they want to be someone.
Some more than others have a desire to matter, to be different, to stand out from the crowd, to do something that's going to, you know, have an impact on the world.
In other words, if you want to be significant, if that's your goal, if that's your main motivation, and you have to choose between two types of group, one that promotes violence, give you guns, you know, explosive, and you fight for a prestigious moral cause, as opposed to feeding, you know, homeless people or providing shelter to homeless people. People would join, of course, the radical group because it seems to fulfill the significance quest more rapidly.
Converts to new religious movements, you hear their stories, there's almost always a contingent factor. That just when they were feeling and thinking a certain way, they met certain people. And it's quite accidental. We talk about cognitive openings. So you've peeled away your old ideas, you're opening to new ideas, you're in a fragile frame of mind, you're looking for some guidance and leadership, and along comes at that moment somebody with a clear set of beliefs and ideas that are about saving the world and about how you, little old you, can make a difference and change the world. Every new religious movement stresses you are important.
Over the past several years, people have made efforts to put together these models to try and explain how an individual becomes radicalized. And we're just trying to explain how an individual becomes interested in these ideas, to then sort of subscribing to the ideas, towards then contemplating action, and then ultimately taking action. Those who start don't necessarily progress all the way through. There are many instances where people will drop off or stop or simply not ascend to any next level of radicalization. Basically, it's a process which occurs where you're breaking down the barriers. You are identifying more and more with one set of ideas and at the same time becoming more and more dismissive of any sort of alternative ideas. Imagine a bunch of individuals who are spending increasing amounts of time together and sort of isolating and withdrawing from sort of a larger sort of segment of the population. Then this echo chamber, or what we call a closed argument pool, sort of emerges. These individuals are basically feeding off each other. They're feeding off of the ideas. You don't have that voice which is saying, hey, wait a second, maybe we should think about this. And it basically feeds off of itself and becomes sort of increasingly more likely that they're going to talk themselves into doing something.
And the neo-Nazis, it's always a case of they have a bit of a taste of violence and they don't like it. And then they start to become nervous about the other guys around them who seem to be lapping it up and really enjoy. Oh, did you see how we beat those guys up? That was fantastic. See all the blood, you know, I knocked his teeth out. Isn't that great? That stuff does cause them to start to retreat. But they don't know how to get out of the group, right? And the main reason they don't know how to get out is they need an alternative identity again. You can't just leave from neo-Nazism to nothing. And you can't leave from jihadist radicalization to nothing.